Hi guys, welcome to Irish Footy Vlogs and welcome to the First Division preview show. 5 games on Friday night again, lads. Full fixture list. We'll start off with Wexford and Cove, and already this is a bit of a basement battle. We've got 9th against 10th here. Both teams obviously haven't won yet. Wexford haven't got a point on the board. Cian, how do you see this one going? And it's an important one, isn't it?
Both teams, I think, Wexford, look, they really need to get a few points on board. They gave a good account of themselves last week, so they'll be looking to build on that now this week, especially being at home to Cove. You know, you'd like to think they might and could nick a point in it. That's what they'd like to think. I can't see it happening though. I think Cove will win the game. I think Cove, this is Wexford are the team you need to win, I think, in this division at the minute. And you need to get your points on the board if you have any aspirations of getting anywhere near the playoff spot. So I'm going to say Cove will win this, but it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, JP, I mean, both teams will be thinking the same thing in many ways. And, a draw probably doesn't do them any favours, but a defeat, it just looks bad for the other team this early in the season, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think Wexford they'll probably be a wee bit spurred after even though they lost to Shelbourne last time out, but they put up a good fight. They were beaten by an own goal. So they'll take a lot of positives probably from that, and hopefully maybe replicate them against Cove. And who knows, they may come away with something from this game. But Cove, they've 1 point from 3 games starting out, so they'll be looking to get a win on the board early because they narrowly missed out in the playoffs last year, and they'll be hoping that they can put up some sort of similar fight this year. But they can only do that if they get points on the board early, and they'll see this as a huge opportunity to do so. And if they don't, I think they'll be disappointed.
Yeah, I fancy Cove as well. I think they might pinch it here. I know Wexford put up a spirited display last week, but different type of game. This is a game where they'll probably expect to attack, if you get me, and I think Cove might take advantage of that and get the 3 points. We have UCD and Cabinteely, and this is third against second, despite the fact that Cabinteely have only played 2 matches. They're still tucked in second in the league, and I haven't heard anything in regard of not going ahead. So one would assume this is going ahead, Cian. How do you see it going?
Yeah, really good game again. This is a game that can go either way. You don't know who's going to win this one. I'm going to say Cabinteely, just because I think they've shown in recent games, and they've shown now, especially early on in the seasons, they've shown how good they are and how they can actually win hard games, and they find the odds really and surprise everyone a little bit. So I'm going to go Cabinteely, and I think they might get a clean sheet here.
Interesting stuff. JP, how do you see it?
It all depends on how Cabinteely have been affected, haven't they, by the COVID outbreak? If it's more than 1 or 2 players, we still don't know the outcome of that. But it's going to be a really good game. I think it's kind of a derby, isn't it, really, as well? So both teams will be off at UCD are unbeaten as well in their start this season. They're probably disappointed not to have more points on the board, but I'm sure they'll be happy with what they've got, and they'll be really looking they nail down a marker in this game, and hopefully by the end of it they'll be hoping that they're still unbeaten. I'm going to go for UCD in this game.
Yeah, I think they're both teams have a similar structure in my opinion, but I agree. I think I'll go for UCD. I think they might win this match. Galway United and Treaty United. Treaty are currently 4 points above Galway in the league. I know Galway have a game in hand, but they need to get that win now, Galway, Cian, don't they? Early doors now. They need to get 3 points on the board here. It's not going to be easy, as we've seen with Treaty. Early doors, they don't concede.
Yeah, you don't really know. This is a massive game for Galway. It's not going to define the season or anything like it, but it's a big game for to see where they're at. This is a game now. They've lost to Athlone. They've lost games that they probably should have won in. I know last week they didn't play, so you know, you'd be disappointed if you were a Galway supporter if you don't get anything less than a win out of this game. But look, I've been really impressed with Treaty's defensive shape, and they're just very hard to beat, even with 10 men. You know, they're tough, and that's what you're going to get, and that's out of them. I'm going to go for a draw here, and I just think Treaty might grind something out because, you know, they're in good form, and, you know, Galway not playing last week and stuff like that. I don't know. I really don't.
JP, I think, in fairness, I think if Galway are going to win this game, I think they're going to win it 1-0 or something like that, aren't they? It's going to be a tough game for them here going into this game, obviously, against Treaty. And Treaty will fancy they can get something out of it.
Aye, they will. I think what we've seen from Treaty is that they're going to be a hard team to beat this year. And they're also, if you're going to beat them, you're going to have to play really well against them. Because they do defend pretty well. I think they're going to be a hard nut to crack. I think especially for Galway. But I think Galway, they're playing catch up in more ways than one. So they really, really need to get points on the board now, or otherwise Alexa Shelbourne, UCD will start to, and Athlone will start to pull away from them. And with the money that they've spent and the likes of John Caulfield and his manager, and they've gone full time, they'll be really disappointed that they're not sitting with 6 points from 6 out of their 2 games. I know they've had 2 tough fixtures to open, but they would be disappointed. But I think Treaty have showed that they're a hard team to beat with 10 men on the pitch. If they can keep 11, they might just.
Maybe they're better off playing with 10 men, JP. Who knows?
Maybe, but you know, I'm going to go for Treaty to win this game. You know, I just think they might get the win in this game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tight. It could go either way as well. First draw for me here, I think 0-0, 1-1, to be honest, which is, I suppose the 2 biggest games, in fairness, of the weekend, the first division. We'll start off with Bray Wanderers and Athlone Town at the Carlisle grounds. Athlone sitting pretty top of the league. Cian, a bit of momentum going into this game. Bray, interesting 3 games, 3 draws. Nothing terrible, nothing great, really.
I won't say nothing terrible, Keith.
Good point, actually. Good point. No. I forgot about the first and the third game.
Yeah. I have to be honest, and massive game. I think again so early on, like it really is, and I'm sick of repeating myself and saying that, but you know you can't help but say it, like, because there's some big games here. Like honestly, I can see Athlone winning this. Just think from the back of the way Bray have been playing this season, Athlone kind of impressed me that little bit more. I don't think there's an awful lot between the 2 sides. I think, you know, Athlone will get as many points on the board as they can while they're in this form. And brilliant, I think they'll continue and get the win. But I still think Bray will finish ahead of them in the league. But I just think Athlone might have the upper edge on them in this game.
Bray could do with one of those strikers back, particularly Gary Shaw, even the young Darrell Lynch, like, he looks a good player, but they could do one of them back.
3 strikers out, you can understand why you're not, you know, that couldn't edge up front or anything. So, you know, I was going to say not getting the goals, but then they got 3 against Shells. But, you know, you need a target man. You need someone there, whether it's a target man, whether it's man into the feet, a man in behind. You need to have a striker, and you know, you can have anyone up front that's not a striker, and they could be fantastic. But it still takes away from the team. I think you need to have a recognised striker on the pitch. And you know, these false nines that teams talk about and play and stuff, I'm not a big fan of it. I think you need an out-and-out number 9. To have 3 of them out injured is really bad luck. Hopefully they have one of them back by the weekend. I'm not sure. But I just think Athlone look like they're flying, that win in Cork and stuff like that. So that's the reason for me. Now beating Galway and stuff. So I'm going to go Athlone here. But like I said, there's no doubt Bray will be up there towards the end of the year. Not writing Bray off at all.
No way. JP Bray could do winning this, in fairness, because they haven't won yet, basically. It'd be a big win if they could get it against Athlone as well, wouldn't it, in the form they're in?
Yeah, it'd be a massive one. Normally you start the season with 3 draws. You would probably normally take that, but considering the players that they have at their disposal, I know they've 3 strikers out, and it's not easy. But with 3 strikers out, they still score 3 away at Shelbourne. So they'd be disappointed that they haven't scored against Treaty and they haven't scored against UCD.
The fact that they kept clean sheets as well, 1 goal kind of could have been enough as well.
Yeah, and that'll be another way they'll look at it, is that in them games they've kept the clean sheet, so they know that they can grind out clean sheets if they have to, and they'll be hoping they turn these draws now and they wins. I agree with Cian. I think Bray will finish above Athlone. Just think Athlone are better momentum at the minute. And I just keep touching on it, that the goal that they scored lit on against UCD really got their season, even though they only drew, it really got their season going, and they've kicked on from it. And if they hadn't scored that lit goal on you, who knows how the season would have panned out for them. So this far, like, but again, I'm gonna go with Athlone in this game, because I think that they've got the momentum. I think as the season goes on, we will see Bray start to climb the table and finish above Athlone. But I think this game, I'm going to go for Athlone.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go for a draw here. I'm not really too sure what Bray fans would think of a draw, really, because look, it depends on the game, doesn't it, and how it goes and that kind of thing as well. Like, it's the context within the game. But, you know, a draw against Athlone, technically, in the way they're playing, isn't bad. But I don't think they'd be too happy to get another draw. But, you know, I'll go for a draw anyway. Finally, we're going for Cork City and Shelbourne. We're talking about a team in 7th place at the moment against a team that's in 4th. Both, funnily enough, have 1 win, but the difference is Shelbourne have 2 extra points due to the draws. Cian, I actually seen Gerard Morrissey, I don't know if you've seen him there talking during the week. There's a few quotes, and he was saying, look, we have to do better, funnily enough. He must have been listening to you. We have to play for the badge, and, you know, we have to play for the badge, and this is a proud club and all. And it is, but this is a massive game against Shelbourne. At the very least, they do need to come out all firing cylinders in this game, don't they?
You can talk what you want. You can... Now the fans want to hear what Gerard's had to say, and I can understand why he came out and said it.
Yeah,
it should be a given though. He shouldn't have to come out and say that. I think that speaks volumes for the way the club is at the minute.
That shows that he's not happy with that, though, doesn't it, as well? Having to come out and say that.
Well, like, no captain has to come out and say they need to do better. They're playing with Cork City, stuff like that. Like, how bad is it? You know, that's what I'm thinking, and that's why I'm looking at it. I seen it, and I was disgusted. I was laughing to myself, but at the same time, when you think of Cork City, I was disgusted that this is Cork City, and, you know, you have a captain coming out explaining themselves, really, and I'm not a big fan of that at all. You know, I think it
was probably a PR job, to be honest with you.
Less talk, and do it on the pitch, like, because they're not, you know, they're absolutely poisoned the last couple of weeks, and, you know, they've been poisoned last year as well. So, you know, it's not right, and I think they need to. This is a big chance now to put everything right. Getting a result against Shells. You know, they're at home. You know, you'd fancy a Cork City side to be able to take Shells at home, but with this Cork City side, I've absolutely zero faith in them. And now, look, I'm telling you, I wouldn't. If I was a Cork City fan, I wouldn't be too happy. And it's not right. It really isn't. But look, if they come out and said that, well done, fair play to them. He came out and said it. Yeah, I guess.
If they can back it up now, it'd be great, though.
That's it. That's all he has to do. Like, I don't believe in this putting around social media and stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of that. You know, you do your talking on the pitch, you do your talking in the dressing room. You know,
exactly.
Like, I don't want to be looking at. I'd be honest. If we're playing Cork next week, and the captain comes out and says that, I'm playing rubbing my hands together. You know, that you're playing into each other's hands. Like, it's not right. This all should be done inside, I think. And look, I have nothing against Cork. I really don't. I want the best for Cork City. I want to see Cork City back up where they belong. And it's so frustrating. It frustrates me every week. I'll be watching this game after what game is on it? Derry and Drogheda, isn't it?
Derry and Drogheda, actually, yeah.
I'll be watching this game after Derry and Drogheda. So I won't be knowing the scores because this is one I'm looking forward to. And
they might give out the results.
They talk about first division, you'd be all right.
No, it's only in the if it's the Prem they do, yeah. Vice versa.
I think I do. I really do. I think Cork need to put a big statement in now and back up everything that came out throughout the week. Shells, fell over the line really against Wexford and stuff. So, they'd be looking, if they can get a win here before they even kicked into gear, they're flying down for the season, and I think it's a massive game in terms of that. Like these two teams.
Two biggest clubs in the division, yeah.
Two of the biggest clubs in Ireland.
Yeah.
Cork City are up there, like, and I wouldn't call Shells a big club, but but they'd be up there, like, and there's no question about it. They would be up there. I think they're bigger than Pats, in my opinion, like as a club, as a whole. But I wouldn't class them as a big club. On these two teams, so we're talking about them in the first division, and I don't like it. I really don't. I don't like talking about these two teams. These two teams should be up there. Like Page. Derry should be up there. Stuff like that. I'm really. I don't know. Cork just frustrate me at the minute, and you can see that coming through. They just need to back everything up. But a win will go a long way to doing that, and even shutting a few people up, even if it's for a week. I just think, they need to get 3 points on the board.
Who are you going for?
Oh, yeah. Shells.
So, to be honest, I don't think you needed to say after that. JP, like I was just listening to Keane there, and while he was speaking, I was thinking, like, these are the two biggest clubs in the first division by a mile and are amongst the two biggest clubs in the country, as he says, particularly, Cork City and that. But it's a massive, massive game. Also, the fact Shelbourne, none of their strikers have scored yet, which is interesting because they've got the likes of Matty O'Connor. I know Macaulay's been suspended, but you're expecting one of them anyway to kick into gear and get a couple of goals, JP, at some point.
You are. We know Yo-Yo Matty, he can do it. He's done it in the UCD team, so he's now at Shelbourne. But we've seen it in the past where players have performed at, no disrespect to UCD, at a lesser club. They've performed, they've scored goals, and then they've made the step a bigger club, and they've struggled. And for whatever reason, we don't know. And look, I'm not writing Yo-Yo Matty off. It's early days. He's only played a few games for Shelbourne, and I have every confidence that he'll start to click, as will O'Connor. And I think if them boys start to click, Shelbourne will click. As Keane's touched on it, Shelbourne haven't kicked into gear yet, and they are potentially going to be top of the league on Friday night, depending on our results. And that if that happens, the rest of the first division may start to get worried because they might not catch Shelbourne. For Cork, they've lucky to have 1-1 because that first game against Cove.
That's very true. Yeah.
They were dreadful, and look, if you play bad and you won, you take it because there's lots of times you could play well and get beat. But the fact that they haven't backed it up with they've backed it up with probably 2 average performances, and they've correctly been beaten. So they'll be looking now, if they can take something from this game against Shelbourne, then, and I agree with Keane, the captain coming out and saying we need to do this, we need to do that. It probably has been said in the dressing room, but as you said, it's probably a PR more for the fans, because if there's probably discontent among the fans, they're looking just for somebody, a leader in the dressing room, to come out and say, look, we're trying our best, and we're going to give everything we can for you. Unfortunately, I don't think it'll work this week. I just think Shelbourne's going to have too much for them. I know it's a Turner's Cross. The effect of Turner's Cross is usually the crowd, and that's what usually makes it hard going to Turner's Cross. They haven't got that. So I'm going to go for Shelbourne to win this.
Kane?
Just a quick one. I know we're saying Tunners Cross the fans and stuff like that. For the last 3 years, for the last 2 years probably, where you're going down to Tunners Cross and you're saying you're going to win the game. And I think, you know, Ryan, you'd be going
down. To be honest, the fans haven't been going really, not the way we're used to.
No, but like, you know, an average Derry team, very average Pats team, would go down to Cork and fancy their chances.
Yeah.
There's 2 years ago. Go on, bud.
Yeah. 2 years ago, it was Devine's first season back in charge, and we went there. Now I think we've won down there twice in the last 15, 20 years. We went down there early on and we got a 0-0 draw, and that after a very good start for us in the season. And we took the 0-0 draw, and we went there a few months later and we smashed them 4-1. Now I've never remember a season us going to Turner's Cross and not losing. It's very rare, and I totally agree. See, since they won the league, they've just not been the same, have they?
And JP, to be honest, I remember Pat's going down to Turner's Cross even last season, and I don't know how it finished 2-1, because I genuinely mean this. It could have been 6 or 7 to Pat's at half time. I don't know how it wasn't. It's just poor finishing. But Cork were a complete shambles. I'd never seen. Do you remember that, Keane? Weren't they unbelievable that day? I don't know how it wasn't 6 or 7 at half time.
It's been the same though. Like, we've gone down there with average teams. Like, you know, we've gone down there with average teams. We're down to 10 men for about 60 minutes and we scored a last minute goal.
Yeah, I remember that.
Dean Clark, that was scenes that day. And then, you know, you're looking an even worse team probably in 2019 that just did not click at all. And Rowan Hale comes on and scores, and I fell down the steps. If you look at the video, you'll see me like that down the steps. But
it's been easy pickings and the last 2 years in Turner's Cross as well.
Not right. And Paul Hunt has to start. He was on the bench last week. He has to play this week. Like, they can't get any worse. Why? You know what I mean? Let's play these players. Like, if I just don't. No, don't get me started again.
Yeah, exactly. Go on, JP.
Some people might not be happy with how we're viewing Cork, but I think they should look at it from the point of view that we're harsh on Cork because before 2 years ago, they were the team that was really preventing it from being a one-man league. They were keeping up the challenge, and it's how they have fallen so far so quickly. Like, it's unheard of. Like,
it kind of keeps happening to them. Like, over the last 20, 30 years, anyone who follows the League of Ireland would have seen this from one of the biggest clubs in the country. And no matter what they do, they always find themselves in this situation. Like,
and it's disappointing.
Fan-owned, not fan-owned. It doesn't matter.
Pointing like that, they won the league in 2017, and they were countering that league at around June, July, and they fell over the line. They fell over the line.
They lost Maguire and they fell over the line.
And I still to this day believe that if they hadn't have held on to Maguire, I think they'd done a deal with Preston that he wouldn't go to Preston until the 1st of August instead of 1st of July. And I still to this day believe that if they hadn't held on to him for them extra 4 weeks, Dundalk would have caught them, because I think RTE showed 3 or 4 or 5 weeks in a row they showed Cork, because that was a game at Cork. If they'd won the league, and they ended up drawing. And it was eventually they won the league 0-0 at home to Derry, because Derry knew that a draw got them into Europe as well the same night. So it was practically, let's draw the game and we both made our targets basically. So they fell over the line with 2 or 3 games to go when they really should have been winning it at least 10 games out. And I think that's what's probably, it's how they've fallen so far so quickly. And it was even before they clinched the title that the downfall had happened.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, fans, like they think the same with Cork City. This game itself, it's an interesting one for me because obviously Cork aren't playing well. I don't think Shelbourne have clicked at all yet, by the way, but just sense they're going to win this game. You know, Gareth Morrissey, it's a rallying call, it's a PR stunt if you like, but I can't see Shelbourne not winning this. I think they'll be near the top of the league by the end of the week. And that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're new. Hit your bell notification button so don't miss a video, and like the video. Brilliant stuff, guys. Thanks very much.